It may sound like an oxymoron, but it really is possible to explore Kyoto sustainably without sacrificing comfort or luxury. Let me show you a side of Kyoto that few travelers ever experience. Kyoto's over-tourism crisis has become impossible to ignore. The city welcomed over 10 million visitors last year, surpassing its local population and putting enormous pressure on its environment and cultural heritage. Pollution, rising prices, and even damages to sacred temples have become the unfortunate price of mass tourism. Authorities have introduced measures to reduce the impact, but so far the results have been limited. I've already done a video on the topic of over-tourism in Japan, so I'll link to it in the top right corner above. But amid these challenges, something interesting is happening. A new wave of conscious luxury is emerging in Kyoto. The city is no longer trying to attract more tourists. It's trying to attract better tourism. Travelers who value exclusivity, culture, and sustainability over crowds and chaos. During my recent visit to Japan, I got to explore 2 eco-friendly luxury hotels that perfectly capture this new philosophy. But are they truly sustainable or just marketing hype? Are they worth the splurge? And more importantly, how can you experience Kyoto without contributing to over-tourism? Let me show you how I did it. As you may know, as a travel agent, I often get exclusive access to some really special sites and hotels in Japan. The first hotel I'm going to introduce you to today is the Good Nature, a new 4-star gem that's unlike anything else in Kyoto. What makes Good Nature Hotel in Kyoto stand out is how deeply it embraces sustainability. This isn't just a place that talks about being eco-friendly. It's a hotel built around it. It's actually the very first hotel in Japan to receive both the WELL Building Standard Gold certification and the LEED Silver certification. That means every part of the design, from the air you breathe to the light that fills each room, was created to care for both the environment and your well-being. When you walk into the lobby, you're greeted by a lush green wall and the calming scent of wood and herbs. It feels peaceful, warm, and refreshingly natural, even though you're right in the heart of the city, right by Teramachi Shopping Street. With 141 rooms, the hotel runs almost entirely on renewable energy and follows a circular system. Food waste from its restaurant is composted and sent to local farms, and those same farms provide fresh, organic ingredients to the restaurant of the hotel. Even the amenities in your room are biodegradable and locally made. The restaurants inside the Good Nature station serve seasonal, plant-forward dishes that highlight Kyoto's regional produce. I absolutely love the decor here, using Japanese material like washi paper for the wallpaper, bamboo, and natural organic fabrics for the bed sheets. Although I stayed in the superior room category, I got to explore several of the rooms they offer. Each room features a different color pattern, green, blue, or pink, with artwork on the walls painted by a local Japanese artist. One huge highlight for me was the suite rooms, which feature a beautiful outdoor terrace overlooking the street. The hotel also features a gym, a spa, a lounge, 10 restaurants, and a shop selling local products made by local artisans. And for anime fans, the hotel is directly connected to the Takashimaya department store, which houses Kyoto's Nintendo shop. As a fan of Mario, my husband Matt was super happy about this and spent quite some time exploring the shop. Overall, if you're looking for a sustainable luxury hotel in the heart of Kyoto, I'd say the Good Nature Hotel is the best option you can find. Before we continue, if you enjoy this type of content, please make sure to subscribe to this channel to help our community grow. If you want something more high-end, located in a more secluded area of Kyoto, take a look at the new Six Senses Kyoto Hotel. Opened just a year ago, the decor is inspired by the elegance and artistry of the Heian period. Once you step inside, the design immediately exudes peacefulness. The interiors blend natural woods, soft lighting, and beautifully landscaped gardens that make the hotel feel like a peaceful oasis. What truly sets this hotel apart, in true Six Senses fashion, is its strong commitment to sustainability. It is woven into almost every part of the guest experience. The property has its own water recycling facility, which significantly reduces water consumption. Kitchen waste is minimized as well. The hotel composts on-site and grows its own herbs and botanicals for spa treatments and workshops. Guests can even join hands on sessions that use leftover ingredients like orange peel to create natural body care products. Six Senses also supports local environmental and cultural groups through a dedicated community fund that helps preserve Kyoto's natural and historical heritage. It is a thoughtful and integrated approach to sustainability that feels genuine rather than greenwashing. The hotel features 81 rooms and suites, each spacious and beautifully crafted with a mix of local materials and contemporary comfort. We stayed in a deluxe room, but to me the big highlight was really the junior suite, which features its own Japanese garden. Wellness is another major pillar of the Six Senses philosophy. The spa was a highlight, with Zen-inspired treatments, a Watsu pool for aquatic therapy, and a biohack recovery lounge offering light therapy and compression sessions, which were designed specifically for guests after long days of sightseeing. The hotel also has a gym, gender-segregated hot tubs, and a pool, which we thoroughly enjoyed as a family. One big plus for families is the babysitting service for kids aged 5 and older, where children learn traditional Japanese games. Breakfast was another major highlight for us. The restaurant follows Japan's 24 micro-seasons, which means that menus change frequently to offer ingredients at their freshest. There is also a strong emphasis on wellness. You will find slow-pressed juices, homemade wellness shots, fresh fruit pastries, and tasty vegetable-based dishes. To me, it really felt like the kind of breakfast that makes you want to take your time, enjoy the flavors, and ease into the morning instead of rushing out the door out of FOMO. It fits perfectly with the hotel's philosophy of mindful, sustainable living and enjoying the present moment. Six Senses Kyoto ended up being one of the major highlights of our trip to Japan. We only had one night there, but we loved it so much that Matt and I immediately said we would come back one day to spend the whole week. Although it is not as centrally located as the Good Nature Hotel, it felt like a completely different experience. Peaceful, rejuvenating, and we were genuinely impressed by how far they take sustainability. If your budget allows, I'd highly recommend that hotel for your next stay in Kyoto. Now that we've gone over 2 sustainable hotel options, I would like to share a few tips on how to escape the crowds in Kyoto. I know a lot of YouTubers will tell you to visit lesser known temples or go off the beaten path, but let's be honest. If this is your first time in Kyoto, you're probably going to want to see the big sights. Places like the Fushimi Inari Shrine, the bamboo forest in Arashiyama, Nara's Deer Park, the Golden Pavilion, and Kiyomizu-dera are iconic for a reason. They are beautiful. But in reality, and unlike what you see on Instagram, they are also heavily crowded most days of the year. The good news is that there are practical ways to experience them without being swallowed by the crowds. First, I want to introduce you to a very helpful tool that the Japanese government has created. It is a website that tracks crowd levels at major tourist attractions throughout the day in Kyoto. So if you plan in advance, you can see which times and which days are naturally less busy. Using this tool alone can completely transform your experience. I will link to it in the description box below. For example, I would avoid heading to the bamboo forest on Wednesdays or any afternoon. It becomes almost impossible to enjoy. I recommend going very early in the morning. When you arrive before most tour groups, you can actually hear the wind moving through the bamboos, which is the whole magic of that place. Another important tip is that many temples in Kyoto stay open 24 hours. This is a game changer. For this reason, I took my husband to the Fushimi Inari shrine late in the evening. The souvenir stores were closed, but the paths themselves were quiet and almost empty. It felt like we had the whole shrine entirely to ourselves, which was a rare moment of serenity in a city dealing with such over-tourism. We also did something similar at Kiyomizu-dera Temple by visiting around 6 in the evening. There were still people around, but compared to the daytime crowds, it was surprisingly peaceful. If you plan to visit the Golden Pavilion, aim for the earliest possible time slot. The walking path around the pavilion is very narrow, and once midday crowds arrive, everyone moves at a very slow shuffle. So going early allows you to enjoy the beauty of the grounds without feeling rushed or stuck. For Nara, we visited with a guide, and this made a huge difference. We left Kyoto early and followed an itinerary designed to move opposite of the flow of tourists. We started with the Nara Shrine and saved the deer park for the very end, while most people do actually the reverse. Not only did this help us avoid the crowds, but our guide also led us to a procession of monks that we would never have discovered on our own. Having a guide added a layer of exclusivity and efficiency, and it allowed us to experience the city respectfully while avoiding overrun hotspots. There are also many cultural experiences that help sustain local traditions while offering a more intimate alternative to crowded sightseeing. One of my favorite was a private tea ceremony in a local's home. We wore kimonos, learned about the history of the ritual, and experienced it in a quiet, personal environment. The company that organizes this experience focuses on supporting women's work and preserving Kyoto's cultural heritage. It felt respectful and genuinely meaningful, and it offered a way to contribute directly to the community instead of placing additional pressure on heavily visited sites. I also took part in a samurai sword experience, which is great for families. After changing into a traditional attire, I received a lesson from a kendo expert. This type of activity supports local artisans and instructors who are keeping traditional practices alive. In my opinion, this is a much better way to connect with Japanese culture than running through the overcrowded streets of Gion hoping to snap a photo of a geisha. I may do a separate video in the future about these kinds of activities, but I really wanted to highlight them here because they truly matter. Supporting small, local businesses does more than create memorable experiences. It helps preserve Kyoto's cultural heritage, offers a sustainable alternative to mass tourism, and protects the environment by spreading tourism more evenly across the city. In a place facing an over-tourism crisis, these choices make a real difference. Kyoto is a city of incredible beauty and history, but it is also a city feeling the weight of over-tourism. My visit to the Good Nature Hotel and Six Senses Kyoto showed me that it is possible to experience Kyoto in a way that is both luxurious and mindful. These hotels are not just places to stay. They are examples of how comfort, design, and sustainability can coexist, letting you enjoy the city fully without contributing to overcrowding or environmental stress. Beyond where you stay, the way you explore Kyoto makes a huge difference. Planning your days around quieter times, visiting iconic sites early or late, and choosing experiences that support local culture and artisans all help preserve the city's heritage. For me, moments like walking through Fushimi Inari at night, participating in the private tea ceremony, learning samurai sword techniques felt richer and more meaningful because they were quieter, more personal, and connected to the community. That's the essence of what I think of as this new trend of quiet luxury travel. It's not about the ostentation or doing everything on a checklist. It's about making intentional choices that allow you to enjoy beauty, culture, and comfort fully while leaving a positive impact. Kyoto is showing that it's possible to travel thoughtfully, and if you approach your visit with care, the city rewards you with experiences that are peaceful, memorable, and genuinely special. So, if you are planning a trip to Kyoto, I hope this video gives you ideas on how to explore the city more mindfully, stay in hotels that reflect sustainable luxury, and support the people and traditions that make Kyoto so unique. Every mindful choice you make as a traveler can help Kyoto stay beautiful for generations to come. And now, I want to turn the conversation over to you. Have you ever visited Kyoto, or are you planning your first trip there? Which of these sustainable hotels or mindful experiences would you be more excited to try? Do you have your own tips for avoiding crowds or supporting local culture while traveling? I would love to hear your thoughts and recommendations in the comment section below. And if you have any questions about planning a trip to Japan, I'll be more than happy to answer them too. Please remember our partner Avosky, which offers you 10% discount on any travel SIM card orders with the code Lawrence Travel Tips. I'll put all the details in the description box below. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to leave me a thumbs up and to subscribe to never miss any future contents. Please also check the other related videos on the topic, such as the video I made on the top 5 things to visit in Kyoto and my video on Japan's over-tourism crisis. I will link to these in the top right corner above. If you'd like to support this channel, I'll leave a link to our PayPal account in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy travels!